Don't cry in the fight. The broken, the unspoken, we can't heal the whisper open.
Good morning. Welcome to the Commander Galpohkpa Chesson Talk Show. We wake up this Saturday morning to news that we have to be mindful of daylight savings time. I heard my co-producer and director, Karen McLaurin, telling me this morning something about daylight saving time. So I'm passing it on to you. Be mindful of daylight saving time. You wake up tomorrow, you may have to turn your clock back before you go to bed tonight. Okay? We also have news of the first drone attack in Pennsylvania. It was an attempted attack on an electrical grid in Pennsylvania. Do we have the technology to detect these things? This drone was a personal drone. And it's at the point now where people are arming these drones. So, do we have the technology to have no-fly zones over these different instrumentalities in our various states? That's something we have to consider. Because people cannot just have their personal toys and things being armed to carry out terrorist attacks on our instrumentalities. Also in the news, President Biden must be waking up very happy this morning. Congress passed his bipartisan bill of the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill he has before them. Also, we have news of Jeffrey Clark, this guy in the DOJ, in the Department of Justice, who Donald Trump was conspiring with. They did. They brought out the news about this big lie, and Jeffrey Clark had the intention of being appointed Attorney General to perpetrate this lie and destroy our democratic system. He was summoned to the January 6th Commission to present his statement and be questioned. He went there and refused to answer questions. So right now, the committee is considering filing criminal contempt charges against him. People can't just go to our Congress and refuse to testify, claiming some kind of presidential privilege. We have a democracy to preserve it. And this is our greatest hope, that our Congress stand firm, that we get to the bottom of this January 6th attempted coup d'etat and punish all of those who are involved. So, as it stands right now, we await the decision of the January 6th committee to act on behalf of the American people. Okay? I also heard that there's also news that Brazilian Latina Grammy winner Mariela Mendoza sadly passed away in a plane crash yesterday. She was on her way to a concert and her plane crashed. She left her son. The whole country is mourning her death. And we just wish her family best wishes. Okay. I think that's all I got to say on the general news side. So let's look at my country now. My topics for today are: one is about the attacks of former President Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf on Joseph Boikai and his Unity Party. Your former Vice President Joseph Boikai and his Unity Party of Liberia withstand assaults from former President Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf. 2, when courts are powerless. And 3, forming a path. Let me start my first topic. We see all the things that happen in our country, especially between Ellie Cummings, Joseph Boikai, Musa Belete, Benana Yuri, Nombli Kanga, and the groups that form the collaborating party, the collaborating political parties of Liberia, CPP. We see a great divide in that group. And the whole of this problem was going on. We saw that Vice President Boikai, who is the senior member of that group and also the standard bearer of the Unity Party, remained silent. Now he's president, he's head of the group. He's the chairman of the CPP. And the CPP is still within the state of disarray. Right now, Ellie Cummings is rebelling. He and Musa Belete of the Liberty Party are rebelling against Jumbli Kanga, Benina Yuri, and Joseph Boikai. As Joseph Boikai is in the United States of America right now doing interviews and things, we hear that Ellie Cummings going with Musa Belete to Bon County to support another candidate for Liberty Party. And this is done with Nombli Kanga and the rest of the CPP participation. So we see there's a real divide in the CPP. We also see that behind all of this too, Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf might be involved. Because how come all of a sudden the property that the Unity Party has been using as its headquarters since Ellen's presidency for the past 15 years, all of a sudden the people want more money or the property back. Why is this new wrangling within the party midst, especially when the property belongs to the McLean family that also benefited immensely from the Unity Party and Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf and the Ellen cousins? So once we see this new saga about payment, wanting to increase payment, wanting to reduce payment, and all these issues, we know right there something is wrong. And Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf are in it. I know it. I know it. There can be no way Ellen Cummings will consistently rebel against Joseph Boikai and the party they want to leave and break away. Then all of a sudden, the family that owns the Liberty Party headquarters want more money or want to take it back. How does this happen? So here we are again with the same political situation. Where the old players continue to interfere with our daily politics, continue to want to have their way over the Liberian people's wishes. This was what led to the military coup in 1980. This was what has been the cause of all our problems from 1980 to this very day, that has taken the lives of close to over a million people, over a million Liberian citizens. And we still don't want to put blame where blame belongs to be put. We still want to pretend that Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf didn't have a hand in this. And we got to face the fact. We got to face the fact. And no matter how y'all want to praise this woman, something is wrong with our country. Something is wrong somewhere. And we must face the reality. We must face the fact. There's a problem with trust. There's a problem with trustworthiness. There's a problem with honesty. We have all these problems. And we keep ignoring the source from which they spring. And this is what hurts our country. This is what hurts our people. We got the same players in our country, man. We got the same people. We got the same players. It hasn't changed. Look at our leadership from 1980 to this very day. The same people. The same people. I listened to Boikai interview on the Liberian issues or what for Colonel Shelton recorded show. It's the same issue. And Boikai got to fit the fact, man. You listen to this. You listen to this recording because they asked Boikai. He said Massa, one of the moderators of the show, asked the vice president, said, "Mr. Vice President, that's the scenario. What is so and so happening?" We couldn't get the first part. He didn't answer the question. Then the second part, he really didn't answer the question. Even Massa was shocked. She said, but because he didn't answer the question. But he did answer the question. He didn't say yes or no, but the way he phrased his question, you be the judge. And hear this recording. Because we all know the situation in our country. And we just got to face the fact of what's happening. So just bear with me.
Hypothetical. In case the CPP crumbles, to you, are we going to see Honorable Joseph Boikai going solo as the candidate, presidential candidate from the Unity Party?
I must say that not my guy on the stage and when the desire, but it is also my desire that Nigeria provides a viable alternative to WIA. And I think everything that we should be here to run the interest of the Liberian.
So he didn't answer the question. And that leads us to believe that. That leads me to believe that Boikai is seriously. Sorry.
To you, are we going to see Honorable Joseph Boikai going solo as the candidate, presidential candidate from the Unity Party?
Oh, this news. Okay. This is a new mic I just brought, so I'm having difficulty with it. But anyway, This is what we see. Boikai knows that there is deep problem in the CPP. He knows that from what is appearing as a fact is that he and Cummings have differences. Not basically because of Boikai, but because of the people around him, Benana, Ure, normally Kanga, all of them who disagree. And I think Alexander Cummings feels entrapped in a group with these people that he has no control over. He feels entrapped because they have already come to the decision that Alex Cummings is an outsider. He's a newcomer. And he doesn't know the game. And Alex Cummings wants to show them that he cannot be pushed around. Alex Cummings has the support of Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf. He has the support of Musa Belete. He has his own party. So there's a conflict of interest in this party that cannot be resolved. And the more they try to divide themselves, pretending that they're coming together, that they will work things out, it will not work. Musa Belete is determined to grab power in Liberty Party. And he has already grabbed the power. And that's Darius Dillon and Nyongri Kanga that provided him that opportunity. They brought the man to the party, made the man chairman. Now the man has usurped their powers. That means to take over their powers. He has crossed the line and taking over their powers. And now there's a power crisis and vacuum in the Liberty Party. And Alex Cummings, who has also created a situation in CPP with their fuss and their personality issues. There's a leadership vacuum in the whole CPP. And although Boikai is here trying to generate the support and inspiration he needs from the party and the Liberian people to lead our country, they got to resolve this issue. They got to resolve it. And I kept telling them, Alex Cummings will not relate to people like Anthony Chesson. Liberians in America, especially our Liberian people who serve with EULA and no EULA, they are mesmerized by Anthony Chesson and that group that led them for long. And this group is a threat to good governance in Liberia. Because people were going around and saying that one group of Liberia will never rule Liberia again because they ruled in the past, because the people ruled in the past. These people have no interest in peace and stability in our country. And these are the people behind Boikai. These are the people that were in EULA for so many years that broke EULA down. Everybody talking about EULA. I heard something too of Liberia public radio talking about how Costa went and sat down by Boikai and Chesson. Who is Chesson? Who is Anthony Chesson? The Costa that gave her his seat for Anthony Chesson. I myself, I'm worried about Chesson. I'm worried about Costa's movement in Boikai leadership. Maybe Boikai going to appoint him Minister of State for Presidential Affairs. We don't know. But the way he's moving, we show that he will have some protocol role for planning and implementing protocols for Joseph Boikai as it goes now. So if he can sit by Joseph Boikai and Chesson stand up, why would that bother Samson too? Why would anybody be bothered with it? What did Anthony Chesson do for EULA so much in America? Liberians were divided. These people were running Eula like a monarchy. He, Cooney, and Wetty. What did these people do for Eula in America? We divided, and Eula could be the biggest link between America and Liberia and the United States government. And that's why I was telling them from the time I was there. But all of them want power. If you want power, you can't serve the people right. The same thing happening in Liberia. We are the ones staying in power. To stay in power indefinitely, or like Kakma, you gotta be corrupt. There's no way somebody wants to stay in power beyond the statutory term of election and not be corrupt. There's no way. Because the laws are secret. They're written. The Constitution says you got 2 terms. The only way you can go beyond those 2 terms, either you tamper with the Constitution, that's the only way. If you tamper with the Constitution. Because if the Constitution says you got 2 terms, if you want to stay more than 2 terms, no matter what kind of trick you do, the writing says 2 terms. You got to change the writing. And this will come with a problem. Because people serve. The same thing happening in America now. I'm getting so doubtful certain things as a political scientist. And, it's troubling when you see our world nation just full of dictators. Everybody just want to be dictators. Everybody just want to stay in power for life. They and their buddies. And they will do anything to stay in power, kill their own people, destroy the nation. Look at our country. Every time I sit and I look at that period, I said, you made from 1847 to this very day. We don't have roads going up to Lima County. We don't have roads going all the way to Jide, to Maryland, coming all the way to Sino, to Monrovia, and all of that. We don't have these roads. You see the deplorable living conditions of our people of country. Deplorable. Totally deplorable. I mean, our people in mud up to their waist. Digging. I've been seeing this thing from the time I was a child, man. From the time I was a child. I've been seeing these disgusting pictures and images coming out of my country. A part of my country from the time I was born. Can you imagine how tired I am to see these kind of pictures? Do you imagine how tired I am to see some of the disgusting things that come out of Liberia that I've seen all my life as a Liberian citizen? And every time I just shake my head, we say, yeah, we know our people, we know our culture. We can't just, it got to change. It's got to change. But how do we change it? How do we change it? So let me end my first topic out in the second topic because I can spend more time on philosophical ideals for my people. That's why I don't like entertain calls and anything on my show because besides the political issue is one thing. Us understanding the issues today in our society, what we need to do to change our society for the better. It's what I'm dealing with. That's why if I spend my 1 hour here, I want to deal with the issues, one, but I want to set up the premise for my people to understand the ideal. Ideal is different from ideals. Ideal is the physical part. That thing that forms our thinking, that makes us think critically at things our government doing, at things our society doing, at things that we need to do to move our country forward. So let me leave this first topic on. But Boikai them, the CPP, got to make up their minds what they want to do. Boikai got to read comments and all of them in, and they sit down and decide, is this relationship going to work? If it's not going to work, let's break it up. If it's going to work, we got to set rules and principles that we will stick to. And they will have legal consequences. But if it not work, just dissolve the organization and you'll move on. What all this rigmarole for? That people just move on. We know that communists had joined with ANC, and Boikai got normally Lurie and himself. Let them stay on that side. So we got 3 groups right now. We got a CDC group, which is the ruling party right now. We got the TPP, which is the major opposition, and we got Dr. Chesson, which is growing. We don't know where the other parties stand, the other people like Conglo and other people, we don't know where they stand right now. So we got 3 political parties right now. And 2 of them are coalitions vying for our presidency. So they got to make their decision. CPP and Boikai got to decide, is this relationship viable? Is it necessary? Is it conducive for the progress and advancement of the CPP, as well as the objectives and goals of the CPP? So I will leave it at that. Boikai is in the United States of America. He do all his traveling and interviews. At the end, before he go to Liberia, he will have to decide. Because as the way elections is going on, with Musa Belete going over the country, trying to buffer and strengthen Musa Belete's party, that he's taking over from Normally Kanga them, and saying he want to punish them and suspend them some more. We'll see that. Okay? So if they can't make it, they just got to divorce it. Okay, let me just take a break, take my sip of coffee, then go into we just start getting my philosophical teaching. Okay? The catalyst for peace, or ensuring peace in our society, is our code. They speed up the process through their implementations of our laws, through the implementations and interpretation of our Constitution. They don't only buttress the purpose of the Constitution, they expand it. The purpose of the Constitution is to give our nation life. Is to give life to our country, to tell us who we are, what our purpose is, what our goals and objectives are, and how we can protect ourselves. That's why we form governmental agencies. We have a philosophical part of our Constitution, which evolves into our system of democracy. That the philosophical part of the Constitution Because when the Constitution formed, it gives us all these rights to form parties, to participate in debates and freedom of speech, freedom of movements, freedom of association. All these things is set up the stage for us to have a political system. Because from the First Amendment and its laws and its restrictions and its limitations and freedoms come our rights to participate in organizations, to form political groups, to seek our own interests, pros and cons. So when we follow the First Amendment of the Constitution, it broadens our participation with each other and gives us the right to form groups, to seek political interests, to seek political pressure on the government, to do different things. And that's what the freedoms of the Constitution give us the right to do. So when we have these rights and freedoms, and they flow from the Constitution into our political realm and societal living conditions, they fall under the protection of the courts. All those rights that relate to our political participatory actions are protected by the Constitution and the courts. And that is why the court is so significant in maintaining peace and stability in our society. Look at America today. We're still waiting for the court to decide on Roe v. Wade, to come down with a strong decision on what it is. Whether the Texas people can tamper with the law, or whether we're going to make a law like Roe v. Wade that has stood the test of time and will continue to stand. So this is the same principle with the courts in Liberia. How strong are our courts? How do our courts stand within the society that it rules? What kind of respect does the court have? We can see today people are beginning to question the court of Liberia. I just watched the Galpohkpa show this morning. He's telling us how the court is a toothless bulldog. How the court is like the legislature now. They're in Weir's pocket. And he talking about elections. The people got to change that people doing elections. We got to change our people doing elections. Our country has not reached to that stage where we can understand that our leadership is so terrible and corrupt. When the courts have totally broken down, this is what has happened to the courts in Liberia. They have broken down. Because if the court can make decisions now, and the officials of government say we're not doing it, and the legislature has no power over the society to enforce the mandates of the Constitution and laws over the executive, there's a problem. There's no independent branches of government in our country. We're facing a serious problem. We are facing a serious problem. We're going back to the 1980s. And you saw what happened in 1980. We didn't wait for election. You saw what happened in 1980. When the people are pushed against the wall, when they cry for justice and freedom, it's overwhelming. And the people in our leadership still do not pay attention, not listen to those cries. And they think everything will just resolve itself. We are headed for trouble. we're headed for trouble. It cannot be avoided if we persist on this path. If we continue to neglect the cries of our people, the voices for change in our community, and we see our courts are weakening every day before us with the disobedience of the executive or even the judiciary, we have problems. And we need to address them. Because these are the foundation of our democracy. These are the institutions that we depend on to keep us free, to keep our nation secure, to keep our people united. And if these institutions, especially our courts, cannot implement justice and the rule of law, then we have a broken society. We have a broken society. And we can't redeem it. We can't redeem it. Because it's all our leaders, as they are now, see our system is so broken down as it is. See that the court is so terrible that people are disobeying the rules of law from the courts. The court make decisions, people say we're not doing it, we'll do something else. When they get to that stage in our country, we can't wait until 2023. I'm warning you, we cannot wait until 2023. When it reaches to the stage where our courts have lost its power and significance in the society, where our courts tell litigants, do this, especially if they're the government, especially one of the litigants of the government, and the government say we're not doing it, we'll do what we want to do. This is a breakdown in our society. This is a serious breakdown in our society. The rule of law is the fundamental instrument and element to keep peace in our society, to keep our people peaceful and non-violent, to keep our nation secure. The rule of law and the courts are the most important elements in our society. And as I see it every day, it has broken down. It has broken down. And we are on the verge of having a collapse of the Liberian society. Again, a hint to the wise is sufficient. A hint to the wise is quite sufficient. Our country is on the verge of a breakdown. Let me take a break and I'll start my final topic. When the courts are powerless. It is time for us as a people to find a path of leadership, direction, vision. We need to find a path that will unite us, that will bring us back together. Just like, I'm sorry to say it, but on that point, it's just like in America. We need to find a point in this country to unite us. Because Donald Trump has torn us so far apart. And Joe Biden is trying. He's trying. And the same thing with our country. But we're not trying. We're not trying as a government. Neither are we trying as a people. Because if we're trying as a people, the leadership of our society would be more, I don't know how to say it now. Because I can see in my society, people are trying. I can see in my communities, people are trying. But then I can see again the missteps that they make time and time again. The things that they do time and time again that cause them to get discouraged. That cause them to get discouraged. And once they get discouraged, lackadaisical, we begin to fall right back into that same old pattern of doing things. It's a pattern. Corruption, stealing. People come try to change the system. We take 1 or 2 steps forward, and people get weak again. Because to change people's mentalities is hard. It's hard. After you've been living for so long, how do I come and change your mentality? Look at Samson too. Talking about Anthony Castle, he's not sitting down and the castle sitting down. I didn't see the picture. I haven't seen the picture. But that is not a significant thing, except Cassidy has some kind of powers, and Costa is supposed to respect him because of that. Cassidy has no power. He has what he got because he's president of ULA. ULA is not a government organization. So something tells you, oh, why is Costa sitting now and an old man like age? You can't bring age into politics. Age and politics ain't got no bearing. The age of Methuselah has nothing to do with the wisdom of Solomon. Not in your Bible. You can be as old as a church dog. If Casa is young and got the brains and need to sit near the president, so be it. What you were said by the president to do, you can't advise him. When they ask him a question, what you say, you can't answer it. Maybe Casa got the jiff and can talk to the president and make the president do what he wants him to do. But you can get mad and say, oh, because Cassidy is old, he's president of ULA, so he knew. ULA is not a Liberian entity. Like ULA is a club in America. What I got to do with president of Liberia? You see, when we misplace our concept of leadership or ideas, Cassidy is nothing in Liberian society. Yes, he was head of ULA, but what ULA done for us? Nothing. So why should he be given all this kind of privilege because he was president of ULA or he was old citizen? If Casa needs to sit by the president, the vice president, to talk to him, to do his bidding, let him do it. But I must say, I got concerns with Casa. I think the older guys are young, and sometimes they overreact to things. But that's just me. I don't know. But this is where we are. This is where we are, my people. We're in a struggle. We're still in a struggle. Because our issues of trust, our issues of personalities, our issue of self-centeredness and egotism, holding our country back. We don't need all kind of things. We don't need all kind of players. It doesn't strengthen our democracy. It doesn't strengthen our ideals. It weakens it. And as I told you before, human relationship is hard. It's hard. It's hard. Now you see most people don't stay friends forever. Boyfriend, girlfriend don't stay together forever. Husband and wife don't stay together because people get issues. People change along the way. People's philosophies develop or fade. You can grow wise or you can stay as you are and don't grow. And what the people get tired. So there are different reasons why people don't relate. There are very reasons. And people study these things so we can make life easy. So we can know how to advise people. So we can know how to keep the peace, maintain harmony in our society. My people, we need to find a collective path. We need somebody that can unite us, man, that can inspire us, that can motivate us to come together. The challenges are too many. And all of us cannot lead. Every ideal cannot be the ideal to follow. So we still need people to guide us, to tell us, hey, that we can go slow, but still be safe. We can go fast when it's necessary. And that's why we need leaders today. People who can work together. People who don't put their pride and ego before the mission. And know that in the end, it's all about the people. It's all about the people. My class is done. Aluta! Continue. Have a good day. Enjoy yourself today too. Okay? Bye-bye.